Hola amigos, hope everybody's staying safe and healthy and happy. I'm still Ryan the last time I checked, and I don't have a tasting for you today, but we are going to talk a little bit about some process stuff and how cider's made in general. So this, I guess, is cider making 101. The first thing to know is there's a lot of different ways to make cider. Cider has a very long history with a lot of different traditions from around the world. So northern Spain has its own distinctive thing, and southern England does, and northern France does. But safe to say, none of those people are mixing in smoked peppers with their cider and stuff like that. So what we do is definitely more on what some would call the modern side. So that's what I'm going to talk about. Maybe later we can go into some other things from other places, but we're going to be talking about what we do here at Locust today. The first thing to know about us is that we're not orchardists. We don't have a farm where we grow our own apples. Shout out to all the really awesome local producers who do that. Most of them were apple growers first and then went into cider. It takes 5 to 7 years for apple trees to bear fruit, and land's super expensive, so that's why we don't do that. So yeah, we fit more in on the modern side, like I said, and what that means is instead of growing our own apples and making super traditional single varietal or like double varietal ciders, we work with a blend of dessert apples. That means apples that you would recognize, so like Fuji, Red Delicious, Gala, blends of apples like that. And we also use cull fruit, that's C-U-L-L, and that means fruit that is perfectly delicious, but wouldn't get picked off grocery store shelves because it's a weird shape, or it's too small, or it has like a mottled pattern, something like that. So basically an imperfect produce. We work with brokers to get local apples of that sort of reject aesthetic variety, and then we get blends of that juice and we ferment that. Fermentation is really simple. In theory, it can be more difficult in practice, but in theory, super simple. It's just yeast, which is a tiny, microscopic fungus, eating sugar and then producing ethyl alcohol and CO2. So in cider and in wine, there's sugar and fruit juice, so you basically crush your fruit and then the yeast is good to go with that. In beer, it's a little trickier. You basically trick seeds into germinating, and then that creates sugar from starches and stuff like that. But anyway, ferment our cider almost all the way to dry. That means there's virtually no sugar left in it. And then that base cider is about 8%, not super tasty, but we filter that. And filtration makes it nice and clear, which is good for aesthetic reasons, makes it look really pretty, but also helps stability long term because there's not yeast and other microbes hanging around in there. And then from there, we cool it down and we will blend it in these guys, which are called bright tanks. And that's where we'll add some extra juice. So, if we're doing dry or sweet aged or something like that, it's just more apple juice. If we're doing cherry, then we're obviously mixing in cherry juice and some other things. So we get it nice and tasty, mix that all up, and then we can carbonate in here, which is just forcing CO2 in, and then we'll, package the next day and pasteurize.